Tune in and stream live now. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast, is now being broadcast on NPN Voice. NPN Voice can be found on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, SoundCloud, and now on Audible and Amazon Music, and anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast, now on NPN Voice. NPN Voice. Got voice. You heard?
Suave afternoon, Suave afternoon, Suave afternoon. This is Brother Suave, your mind-blowing, thought-provoking, and eye-opening on-air personality, life coach, psychotherapist, author, and creator. Hope you guys having a suavelous day.
Yeah, and with that, let's commence the pay. Okay, I'm so suavelous, you so suavelous. Together we can fix the trauma that's befalling us. Divine social interactions remains marvelous. Mind-blowing, suavelicious talk, higher consciousness. But think, let not your hearts be troubled. Dr. Brother Suave, divine light give you double.
Greetings, this is Dr. Brother Suave, your mind-blowing, thought-provoking, and eye-opening on-air personality, life coach, psychotherapist, author, creator, and your divine social therapist and host of Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave. So excited for season 3, episode 2. Listen, I'm excited about this, and we're going to have a Suave amazing time tonight because we're going to be talking about how to get that money. We're going to talk about how to get financing and funding for your business. And so it's all about business, all about making money so you can leave a legacy for your children. And before we get into that, I just want to give a special shout out for a dear friend of mine. She has a business called True Tax Accounting Solutions. If you're interested in making money up to $50,000, want to be your own boss, contact True Tax Solutions at 404-229-5117. Call or text. Here's the opportunity to be your own boss. And again, we're going to be talking about money and finances, how to get the chips for your business. So we're going to be talking to our very, very special guest. This is a brilliant person, a dear friend of mine. He's like family, man. He knows business. He teaches me how to get business and funding. So listen, he has a lot of powerful information. He has some product, a book. Let me tell you, I'm always trying to have an opportunity to give a cheap plug, but I'm going to tell you this. Just look, you're going to see this book later. So again, we're going to be talking about finance and how to get money and funding for your business. So this individual, again, his name is Dr. David Doriscar. He's completed his bachelor's and MBA from Nova University. He is experienced as a managing partner of a commodity investment firm, as well as a marketing and sales executive. He completed his doctorate in leadership and management at St. Thomas University. Yes, I got one of my graduate degrees from St. Thomas. Go ahead. It said he's the chief executive officer of DCG, which is Doriscar Capital Group, an organization that helps businesses get funding from microloans to north of $100 million. So I'm excited because I want to go ahead and get this information because it's nothing like getting funds for your business. So without further ado, let's welcome the brilliant Dr. David Doriscar.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for having me, brother.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, man. I'm excited. It's nothing like being on the shows with people you love, and you respect, man. Thank you so much. So
it's a privilege to serve, brother.
Yes. So, man, how was that weather in South Florida?
Oh, I'm not gonna piss everybody off, but it's pretty good. pretty good,
Okay.
I'm a native. I'm born and raised, and I don't want to leave.
Oh man. So, man, listen. Before we get into, we're gonna have our small talk, but just tell the listening audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a son of a preacher. My undergrad was computer science. I thought I'd be programming, but I graduated 2 years after the tech bubble. So there's not a lot of opportunity there. So my school had a career fair. And one day a family office that did commodities was there. And they said, hey, do you like numbers? I said, I love numbers. I said, do you like people? I said, I love people. I'm a pastor's kid. And they said, well, you should try coming into finance. So I went in and I went and did my MBA immediately. God prospered that. I ended up becoming managing partner of that firm. Then the founder of that firm, president, got cancer. So she had to focus on her health, closed down. And I did some sales and marketing executive positions. And then I went into academia for about a decade. And that's why I did my doctorate. And a couple of years ago, some of my buddies in the financial field said, listen, we want you to come back. And I love passing knowledge. I love teaching. I love the student interaction. So it was hard for me to leave at first because I love that interaction. But eventually I resigned in the administrative position I was at. And then I started Doriscar Capital Group, where we finance businesses from small projects to north of 100 million. But to scratch that itch, I'm an adjunct professor. I still teach at the university. So I still feel like I'm helping people. And as you mentioned earlier, I wrote a book to try to help people. So I'm still teaching and giving back in that way, even though I'm funding businesses.
Hey, listen, you see this incredible thing. And the thing is, he's humble because we're talking about you hearing running a business and all these things. But that's just not it. This man is a pastor of a church. How you're talking about running? That's just alone being a responsible person, having all those people that he has to provide leadership for, but not just that, running a business. We're talking about academia, all those students, those papers, those responsibilities, and his business. I mean, come on, man, from an excellent pedigree. You're talking about. Listen, he don't want to say the man is humble because you know how some people have one or two and they stand up. The brother got several siblings who are doctors and professionals and head of major departments as well. I mean,
God's been good. I pray all the time. I said, God's been good to my parents because we all did quite well. And I said, I hope to continue that legacy with my children and give them what they need. And I start by giving back because that's what our parents did. I believe when you give to others, you reap back. God looks at you, and my parents were givers. They gave, and I believe that God blessed us because of it. And I'm trying to continue that. We're trying to continue that legacy by giving and allow our children to be blessed because of it.
So for all this giving, how do you make all this time for your beautiful wife, Lady Vanya, and those beautiful children? I'm like, how do you do it, man? Hey, is it an S under there? Is it an S under there?
Man, God's been gracious. It's funny because we travel a lot together. We do a lot together. We're together a lot. My wife, she's an educator. She got a bachelor's degree in education, early childhood education, and was a major teacher at many schools, and the kids were learning so much. And then I said, well, I want to steal you for my own kids, so our kids really. So she's a stay-at-home mom now, and that allows a lot more flexibility as well because she gets to teach our son, and he's been doing exceptionally well since she started that. We had a test the other day. He was supposed to be in third grade. He's in fifth, sixth grade material, and he tested at seventh, eighth grade. Because of what she's been doing. And, I feel blessed because of it. And we travel together, go everywhere together. And it's been a blessing.
Yes. We want to give Lady Vanya a cheap plug on her success on her, what do you call it, YouTube channel?
Yes. Oh,
yes. Yes.
If you got kids and you want them to learn, I'm telling you, she got receipts in terms of very successful students that are doing very well because of the content that she's given. And now she decided to give. So she started her YouTube channel, Lady Vanya, so she can continue giving. So you got young kids and you want them to learn some content, please make sure to check that out.
Absolutely. So, so as we just did our basic small talk, we're going to get in the meat and potatoes of how to make this money and how to get this money. So Here's the thing. My personal experience reading the book, I realized that a lot of times we have these ideas in our head, but a lot of times we procrastinate, we don't follow through, and we second guess ourselves. So the question I have to you is, should I start a business?
Well, starting a business is extremely hard. Okay.
Mhm.
I was teaching some of my business students the other day. I said 50% of whether or not you'll be successful is whether or not you chose the right market. I've seen horrible businessmen that chose the right market, and meaning the demand for the product or service in that market was so high that they seen many years where they made a couple $1,000,000 before things change, and if they didn't adjust, they didn't do so well, right? So 50% is choosing the right market, not even the right product, not even right how well you are. Then the other 50% is how well you run the business. Currently, 80% of businesses that get started approximately fail within 5 years. So I'm a person, I believe in taking the shorter route. One of the things that I talk to people about is we always want to start a business, but sometimes it's a lot easier to create generational wealth by purchasing a business.
Yes, that was my next question. Yes. So since that being said, so since you explained about starting a business, should I buy a business? Because again, you're talking about franchise, all these other things that already established, got the business strategy and business plan already set in order. So
I think acquisition is smart. Now I want to give the disclaimers. Okay. First disclaimer, there's a lot of traps. I mean, traps. I have a client, for example, young guy, makes good money, owns, a business, and he's been approached several times, and I would say that the last 3 projects he's brought to me, because he's a client, I get to, we vet it. I said, no, send me the financials before we finance this deal for you. And then they were either trying to overcharge him, they were lying about content once my underwriting team start looking at some of the stuff. So what I tell people is, if you're going to buy a business, finance it for 2 reasons. Number one, you'll be able to leverage your money. Okay. So for example, if you have $100,000 or $150,000, you can buy $1 million business.
Wait. $150,000 can get me $1 million business.
$1 million business. $1 million business. That's selling for $1 million. And when you finance it, the best thing is you get the finance people like me to vet it for you. And the crazy part about that, a lot of people don't know, the majority of the scrutiny is not on the buyer, it's on the seller. So you become my client. I need 3 things from you: 15%. That's why if you have 150, you can buy $1 million business. Second thing, you have to have good credit, not just the score, but no derogatories. And then number 3, experience. So if you can't buy a mechanic shop if you don't have a mechanic license, can't buy, but if you have those 3 things, the rest of my scrutiny is not on you, but it's the seller. Why? Because I may lend you $1 million to buy that business, but they're the one that's taking that $1 million on closing day and walking away. You're going to owe it to me, but they taking it and gone. So the way that we do it, we look at their books and their revenue. And here's the best part about buying a business. You shouldn't be paying for the loan. The revenue of the business should pay for the loan. So prior to us even approving it, what we're looking at is the revenue of that business. We're looking at their P&L statement. We're looking at their taxes, and we're doing a deep dive into the revenue. So there's more scrutiny on the seller than the buyer.
So I see what you're saying. So it's almost like making sure that company that you're purchasing has all the ducks in order, because you as the person, the buyer, makes the decision, should you jump in that mess or not? And then the seller's like, I want to get this $1 million, so I better have all my ducks in order. They got to,
or else we won't approve it. So, which which is the next benefit of financing, you get a third party that's vetting it. And I'm going to be transparent. You're benefiting from it, but we're not really doing it for you. We're doing it for us.
Yeah.
Because, we don't want to lose our $1 million, right? We want that money back plus interest.
Yeah.
So we ain't doing it for you. You're benefiting from it, but we're not really doing it for you. We're doing it for ourselves.
Yeah.
So you're going to have a whole bunch of professionals that also have a stake in whether or not this is a good business, vetting it for you.
I'm so happy you said it, because I'm so tired of people saying they're in business. They're just trying to get the money. This is not. This is business. I want a profit. I am into to make money, and I think people have the wrong idea when they go into business. And everybody has a stake, because one, you're taking a risk, so you want to make sure those numbers are right, because if those numbers are right and those things default, you just lost $1 million. So you want to make sure all this, because you don't want a little bit of profit. You don't want to run even. You want to make a significant profit. And then this is how business goes. And I think people don't understand this. And that's why I think about, like, a question like I had for you is this: how should I buy an investment property, or why should I? Because again, it's an investment and I want to see profit. I don't want to sit there and buy a profit and just, just running even. I just want to be able to have some money and be able to have enough money where I can get another investment property.
Yeah, you're hitting it on all points there, Dr. Suave. The key thing about investment properties, there's a lot of ways that you can purchase it, right?
Okay.
We at Doriscar Capital Group, we finance businesses and real estate investors. We do both. So the way that we finance real estate investments and we finance businesses. So the way that we do it is a little unique, because a lot of people are used to either hard money lenders or the traditional bank that's asking you for your W-2s, your income, and all that stuff, right? We don't care about income verification, because when you're an investor, we want the same way the business, you want the revenue of the business to be able to pay the loan. It's the same thing. We're not B2C, we're B2B. We only lend to businesses. So if you're telling me I want to buy this house to live in, I'm not your guy. But if I'm buying this house to make some money,
yes,
I'm your guy, because what we do is we look at the revenue potential of that property. And then what we try to do is we lend it in the name of your business versus in your personal name. Because when it's in your personal name, so although we pull credit, we don't report to credit. So that way it doesn't impact something called debt to income ratio. So a lot of times people, they go and they buy an investment property and they buy it under their social, they buy it under their personal name. So what ends up happening is when their family want to grow, when their family got to do something, they start counting that investment property against you. They start counting their income. But when you do it the way that we do it, we put it in the name of your LLC or your corporation. Then although we pull credit to see what type of person you are, we're not reporting the credit because it's reporting to that business. So now it doesn't impact your debt to income. If you and the wife want to get a bigger home, they're not counting that investment property against you. It's not hurting you. You're keeping the left hand separate from the right hand. You're keeping it separate.
Yes. Oh, wow. So again, it's business, it's strategy. This is why you guys are the professionals. Again, so question, you were talking about they don't count it against you, but sometimes the LLC and the person is the same person. But I guess knowing business.
Yeah. So here's what I tell people, and I want to give this disclaimer. I'm not giving legal advice. Please speak to your counselor. However, all right. Number one, when you get an LLC or any other type of you don't, what a lot of my clients do and what I tell them is a good idea to do is to create a corporation for each property. You don't want to have 4 or 5 properties under one corporation, because unfortunately we live in a time where, people like to sue, people like to do crazy things. And if someone falls on one property, you don't want to be able to have access to all of them. So being able to have a corporation, the loan and the asset in the name of a corporation, that's separate for each asset, it creates a lot of flexibility. It also mitigates some risk and liability there, and it also separates your personal debt to income ratio, so that way when you want to buy a home or when you want to upgrade, they're not counting any of these investment properties against you.
Yes, that's brilliant there. Because again, we always learning in life, and a lot of things, I'm still learning, and so I'm always open to information. And so again, you don't, and I guess that's a great strategy, because common people wouldn't even know that. They'll say, "Well, I got a business. This is mine," but not having all these businesses, because they say, "Well, I don't want to spend money. I can put it all under one LLC." But then again, they sue that LLC, and that property is under there, or properties, and now you just lost everything.
Yeah, another thing that's beneficial with the way that doing it through the corporation is you don't have to go in alone. With real estate, you need to put more down. It's not like the business acquisition. You need to have more cash down, usually anywhere from 25 to 35%. And plus they want to see reserves. So it's not like a personal home where they're going to say, "Hey, we need to see how long that money's been in the bank." No, because it's a corporation, it could be 4 or 5 of you guys come together, put some money together, and now you got the 25 to 35%. And you put that money in the corporation, you have some reserves there, and we're good to go. No one is asking, "Well, how long it's been?" No, you could have created that corporation just for the loan.
Yeah.
You don't mind.
Yeah, and I think those are the benefits of having those corporations, and even the short time, like under a year or 2 years, is good, because they give you a little flexibility, saying, "Hey, they're a new company." I remember some loans, they were like, "Hey, you have this benefit. You can't go this high, but you can have this benefit." So again, I guess this is why you have people like you to educate us. And again, this is Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, with our very special guest, Dr. David Doriscar, teaching us how to get funds for our finances, for our businesses, for our real estate investments, properties, and everything, man. We're learning so much right now. I just want to tell you, thank you again, man. So
I want to see everybody grow that wealth. Grow it.
I'm going to grow that wealth. Yes, yes. So, question: if I got a thriving business, and I'm like, when should I seek to get more funds because I want my business to grow? When is the best time to do that?
Yeah, when you don't need it. Okay.
Okay. What do you mean when you don't need it? Like,
yeah, the biggest mistake that people make is they wait till they need funding,
reactive,
to get funds, to request it. 2 things will happen when you wait till your business needs the money to request it. 1, they won't give it to you. That's first thing that may happen. They won't give it to you. They like to give money to people that don't need it, right? And you're thinking, well, if I don't need it, why would they? That's the way it works. 2, if they do give it to you, they're going to charge you a whole lot more money. So you're going to pay more interest. So you got to be proactive, because you don't know anything that may come up. Things are going well, but they might be a recession that comes. There might be this. It's better to have that and let it sit if you needed to, but if a rainy day comes, you got the capital, versus waiting till things slow down, things are not as good, and now you're requesting that capital. Now you're looking for it. It puts you at a disadvantage.
So it is so many benefits to being proactive. I remember during the recession, I would hear people saying, "Listen, I need a job," and they wouldn't hire people who need it. And they hired a person who had a job, and they applied for another job, as opposed to, "I don't have a job." And people
best time to look for a job is when you already have one.
Yes, yes. And again, Brother Frederick was saying this is correct. It's funny because a lot of times people are back against the wall instead of doing things, just like during the recession. Remember, everybody was trying to get their degree during the recession, and when trying to compete with people, and I'm like, no, maybe you would have did it a couple of years ago or 20 years ago, then you would have been more marketable. But now you're doing things reaction. It's like a reaction to the crisis. And these people really like, okay, well, if you're that desperate, we're going to pound on some extra interest to it if you really want it. And people are so desperate.
And it's not, and I don't want to sound like I'm defending the people in my field, but you got to think about it from their perspective, and that's been very beneficial for me as a person. God has graced me with the ability to see things from different perspectives, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a direct correlation between risk and reward. So if your business needs it, right, and you're in a risky situation, mm-hmm. that means there's a greater chance that I might lose that money.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? So if I'm lending to a pool of people that are higher risk, that means my default is going to be higher. So I have to charge more. So the ones that actually go through with it and pay back as agreed upon make up for the ones that default and close down and don't pay about it.
Yes. Yes. And again, you got to have both perspectives. You can't sit there and just look at one side like, and just look at the other side. Like, no, it's a business here.
Yeah.
It's like, what they say, almost during every recession, that's when we have all these millionaires. Because guess what?
Best time.
They wasn't millionaires prior to recession, but because so many people did not do what they're supposed to do, these people took advantage of the situation saying, oh, there's a lot of foreclosure. Those are properties. Let me jump on them. Not that they bad people.
I'm so glad you said that. I was just talking to someone a couple of minutes ago about investments, and I said that if you're a long-term investor, you don't need to try to time the market. People that's trying to time the market are people that's trying to make quick money. And when you try to make quick money, you most of the time you lose. But if you're a long-term investor, you don't have to try to time the market. For example, I brought in an investment property, a condo on a golf course, 2007. That's probably like one of the worst times because the market crashed 2008. It fell by like 70%, right? A lot of people short sell, they foreclose, and it's not because they couldn't afford it. They just said, oh, it's not worth it anymore. What I did is I held on to it. I said, I'm gonna just wait. I'm a long-term investor. I'm gonna wait. I brought that in 2007. I waited, and now it took a little bit of time, but now it's back at the price that I brought it at 2007, and I ain't do nothing. I mean, if I just put a little bit of lipstick inside of that thing, the lipstick on a pig a little bit, I dress it up a little bit, I can make $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on top of what I purchased already if I just put a little bit into it. But I waited. Another thing was 2008. I remember the stock market was crashing, everything was going down. I'm not trying to time the market. I said, oh, it's down. It's a good time to buy. Buy low, sell high. I brought some like a index fund, and I don't remember which one it was. It could have been S&P, Dow Jones, whichever. I brought some index funds, and I made 2016 when my wife said, hey, I want to upgrade. I want a bigger home. So we said, all right, let's look. I went to look. That investment that I purchased 2008, I'm more than 5 times my money. More than 5 times. Why? Because, 5 times. Why? Because when the market go down, people that's emotional, they're trying to make quick money, now they scared. No. If it's down, you buy. If you're diversified, and I'm a big fan of index funds where you got a little bit of everything. So the only way you lose is if everything stays down forever. Okay. So if the only time I care or look at the market is if it's down, and not to sell, to buy. Okay. Because I'm a long-term thinker, and I got some people now, they're like, well, should I buy property right now because of it might go down? I said, well, if you're a long-term investor, it doesn't matter, because just a year ago, people were paying $50,000 or $100,000 above asking price. So right now, you buy it. Who cares? The interest rate is higher. You can refinance in 2 years. They can't raise the price on you. You already own it.
Yes. Fred Jones said, my coach said, always prepare for war during a time of peace.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
He said that. Fred Jones, thank you for that. Because again, I always think about being proactive. And so you always need to be prepared. So when people like recession, it's wartime, you know? So, but you prepared for war. Always. You don't wait to the last minute. So when it's a war or during the time of peace, you are ahead of the game.
That's yeah.
Like you just said, you know.
Man, I'm glad you was it you said Fred
Jones.
Said? Yeah, I love that quote. I remember hearing it when I heard it the other day that someone told me the greatest wars are won in the time of peace. Like, you know, we are prepared for in the time of peace. So great, you know, you start preparing for that war in the time of peace by gathering your tools, getting your you know, during the time of peace, you get everything ready. So the greatest wars that are won are because they were prepared during the time of peace.
Yeah, because while everybody else having fun, it's just like same thing with school. I remember growing up in a great city, Opelika, and I was grinding, you know, doing the Marine Corps, working law enforcement, going to school full time, and playing sport. I used to be so exhausted. But guess what? It was peacetime, and everything was going good. While them people out there was chilling, taking life for granted, then nobody ever thought of recession. Nobody ever thought this. And I prepared during peacetime. So in wartime, I had my stuff in order. You know what I'm saying? In order.
Time to go.
And people don't understand because they don't want to. There you go. They don't want to. Like my dad used to say, cry now, laugh later. Yes, I was crying because I was suffering because I didn't have time to do certain things I wanted to. But I'm laughing now.
Come on. And
I'm laughing now.
Gratification, brother.
You know, I'm laughing now. I'm laughing about the decisions I made. I'm laughing because there are certain things that, again, I'm blessed to have. You know, there are challenges, but it's not like a struggle. I'm laughing now. I am laughing now because I'm happy. And so again, you know, I thank you, Fred. I thank you for that. Your coach gave you some great and wise advice.
That's right. That's right.
So again, right now, we're gonna go into station identifications, and we'll be right back.
We're shining bright, and we're shining the light on us like no other. Neighborhood Planet, our neighborhood, our world.
Hey, we're back. This is Dr. Brother Suave with our very special guest, Dr. David Doriscar. We've been just talking about finance, how to get this money. I'm all excited. I'm multitasking. They come back on the air and I'm like, oh snap, getting tongue twisted, but it don't even matter, man. Again, we never worry about our perfections because we always about progress. Man, listen, I'm so excited again. We're learning so much tonight. Listen, make sure you share, subscribe, tell friends, tell family, because this is an opportunity to get empowered. Because I'm learning. Again, there's nothing like reading this powerful information, and it's called 7 Things to Know About Getting Money for Your Business. And again, it's nothing like reading, but also talking to the person who has the professional expertise and verbalizing so you can make a different connection, because there's so many different ways of learning. And so I just thank you. I thank you, Brother Wally. I thank you, Brother Fred. I thank each and every one of you who's come each and every week and support our brand, Neighborhood Planet, Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave. Listen, it's always great to learn, because as I say, as I close out, great minds reach great places. And so we're getting our mind prepared because we want to go great places. And we're doing that tonight with Dr. David. So here's some of the things I always talked about. And I thought about, like fear, about getting finances and what to know, because it's important to get consultation. A lot of times people don't know. So I want to ask you, if I decide to get some finances, how much should I get? Because, I don't know. I may just get a little bit just to cover the things that I think in my head will be good enough. So what's your recommendation? How much money should I get?
Always get the maximum that you are allowed to get. It's the same principle as I was telling you, get it when you don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
So I want people to understand that bankers are for-profit companies. Okay. And they make, all right, so the work that they have to do, let me say it this way, for a $50,000 loan is the same amount of work they have to do for a $5 million loan. It's not less work. So so understand me, if it saved them time, then, and the cost was lower, then you would understand. So people think, well, let me go for the lower amount. It'll be easier to get approved. Like for example, whenever you want to buy a business, if you're trying to buy a business under 300,000, those are the hardest ones to get. Hardest ones.
What?
I gotta beg one of my funding partners, like, do this for me as a favor, man. But if it's 300,000 and up, yes, sir. Thank you so much. Now why? Because if they're making, let's say they're making 6% or 7%, 6% of 2 million is way better than 6% of 100,000. You see, so and the problem is the cost for the bank is not less when it's a smaller loan. It's the exact same. So the cost for us is the exact same. The time that it takes is the exact same. So this is the reason why lenders always prefer to lend more. So the first reason why you should get the maximum is you have you'll get more favorable terms. The bank is more excited to lend it to you.
Oh,
more. So you see, they're more excited. They're not as excited when it's smaller. Second thing is, if you end up getting too little and you find out you need more, and they offered you more and you didn't get it, they're not going to want to do it. I remember talking to a gentleman and this is kind of was the impetus of me writing this book, because
what's the name of that book? What that book look like?
7 Things to Know About Getting Money for Your Business.
Okay.
And the impetus for me to write this, man, is I was talking to this guy in Boca, because my office is in Boca.
Mm-hmm.
And he was very successful. He told me the first business he did, because he had a chemistry background, and he created this, I can't remember this product, and he sold it in Walmart, different places, and made over $70 million and this, that. And then he says, now I'm relaxing. There was always a little business that I wanted to do. I didn't expect it to do this well. And he started a little hot dog business, and he was doing very well, very well. He said that he had like Asian companies coming, wanting to franchise it, offering him $25 million. And so this guy's obviously, doing well. And we were having this conversation, and he told me that when he just started his little hot dog business,
Mm-hmm.
that the bank offered him $100,000 line of credit. And he told them, no, I just need 50,000. And then he took 50. And then later, as he began to work, he realized, oh, I actually do need another. So he said, he just called them back, said, hey, can I get the other 50 you guys were talking about? And they said, no. And he was really upset. He's like, I will not bank with them anymore. And he was, telling me how mean bankers are and things of that sort. And I had to explain to him. I said, you do not understand, sir. Let me explain to you. They offered you 100,000. You said no, you wanted 50,000. The cost to do $100,000 loan and $50,000 loan and time is the same. So now they did it and gave you the 50,000.
Mm-hmm.
Why you want them to spend 2 times for the same amount of money? It's a bad business. They're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Because now, if you would have did 100,000, they would have made a little bit more, and their cost would have been fixed.
Yeah.
Now you're telling them no to double their cost by coming back again when they could have gave you that from the very beginning. So that's the reason why I always tell people, go for the max. Not only because, so the first reason I said is because the bank will like you more. So instead of treating you like they're doing you a favor, they're going to actually treat you like a customer. Okay, you can tell the difference when people treat you like, sometimes they look for any excuse to deny. The smaller the loan is, that's what they're doing. They'll look for any, because they're thinking, man, it's going to cost us this much time, and we're only making this out of it. This ain't what we really want to make. So any little thing, oh, sorry, we can't do it. Deny. I got another loan that I could do where I put the same amount of time in and make a lot more money. So that's one thing.
You know what? I'm just having reflection of, I always had luxury cars, and people always say, hey, you always got to have a Benz, you always got to have a Lexus, all this, and I thought about how they treated me, and with the good credit and the more expensive car. So, and they know how to do business. I didn't ever think of this till it just triggered. So guess what? So I remember, just giving one of my Lexus. So they say, you paid, watch this now. They say, oh, you got that expensive Lexus, paying all that money. And I just keep my little Honda. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, well, how much you pay for your Honda? They say, oh, I don't pay that much. I only pay I'm just giving an example, $400. I'm like, wow, I paid $375 for my Lexus. And so not only did they work the terms out, they made it easier. So for example, they had a four-year loan, right? For all that, I had a 5-year loan for way less. It made it easier. I had a better quality and had a lower interest rate.
Come on.
And they treated me good. And I bet those people, the same amount on the application, they made it profit. It is business. Yeah. They made their profit. But look how I felt. And I got what I wanted.
What I tell people is, and people don't understand this, but and we were talking about, 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, one of my favorite books, and to give Dr. Stephen Covey his credit, it's just to seek for win-win. And
yes,
people don't like win-wins, I realize. I don't know why.
Understand win-wins.
They either want to win and you lose, or I've seen people go for someone else win and they lose. And I'm like, why not just do a win-win?
Yes.
What's the problem with you winning and they winning? I was talking to one of my business development people today. And because I got about a lot of business development people, and they'll bring me some business, and you always pay more if you go through my business development person versus come directly to me. I got to feed them, win-win. So she was talking about a client, and we helped this client get an investment property.
Mm-hmm.
And the client was like, complaining that she had to pay her. Mm-hmm. I said, so you're telling me that the client got a property that no other bank wanted to lend to her. know the bank because her personal wouldn't do it. You know, we had to use some of the stuff I'm talking about, the investment property. We had to use the revenue from the property to get her approved. And only investors and private funders do that. Traditional banks don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, so she won, but she's mad that you won too. I just want to make sure that I'm understanding that she wanted to win and not pay you at all. So I'm like, when people are looking for win-lose, what you end up getting is the other person win and you lose, because no one is going to do something for them to lose. So you're getting calm, right? Whenever you, it's better to go for a win-win. You know that this person is winning and I'm winning. I know what you're winning and I know what I'm getting out of it. It's a win-win. We're good, right? Yeah. But when people try to go for it where they win and the other person loses, they end up putting themselves in a bad situation. And you know, it just doesn't work out. So that's why I tell people, you know, go for the max, because you'll get treated better. You'll get treated like a customer versus them doing you charity. That's number one. Number two, you know, when you go for the max, you are accounting for unexpected issues that might come up that you may not have thought about. That you say, oh, I'm good. This is already taken care of.
Okay. Well, again, we're going to take our last station identification. We'll be right back with Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave.
We're shining bright, and we're shining the light on us like no other. Neighborhood Planet, our neighborhood, our world.
Suave afternoon. This is Brother Suave, your mind-blowing, thought-provoking, and eye-opening on-air personality, life coach, psychotherapist, author, and creator. Hope you guys having a suavelous day.
Yeah, and with that, let's commence the pay. Okay, I'm so suavelous, you so suavelous. Together we can fix the trauma that's befallen us. Divine social interactions remains marvelous. Mind-blowing, suavelicious talk, higher consciousness. But think, let not your hearts be troubled. Dr. Brother Suave, divine light get you dull.
All right, we down to the wire. We got about 10 more minutes on this broadcast. And listen, we are on fire because I'm excited. I got so many questions and we almost to the end. But I'm going to try to get as much questions I can until we close out. So I want to, you know, we was talking about what you just talked about getting the maximum and not understanding that those benefits. And so I know that a lot of people walk in fear. They don't think about the long term. Also, trying to have a win-win situation because it's always about winning, you know. So you have businesses. And a lot of times they've been in business, they what they perceive as qualified. How come they getting denied?
That's $1 million question. And that's kind of why we started Doriscar Capital Group. The reason why qualified businesses get denied. Okay. This is a little secret that a lot of people do not know. And I want everybody here to know it. You guys are hearing it first on Dr. Brother Suave. Why qualified business that's making good money, got good credit, and they go to their bank that they've been banking with, And the bank knows how much money they've been making, you're doing well. And the bank says, denied. And they're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So here's the reason. Every lender, they're not going to tell you that, but I'm telling you, you're hearing it here first on Dr. Brother Suave. Every lender has a niche that they like to lend to. So what the word niche means is out of a complete market of prospective businesses, every lender chooses a niche. That means a small slither of that big group that they could lend to. Why? Because it mitigates their risk. They choose a group that they know. They do it over and over and over and over again. They know the business. So they know that, okay, if I'm lending you, I know this business. I can make good decisions on business. I'm not going to get fooled. I understand. Like, for example, I have lenders that focus on the restaurant industry. I have lenders that focus on trucking. I have lenders. So every lender, and you may think, well, this is my bank. They know how much money I make. They have a niche that they prefer. So the reason why we at Doriscar Capital Group is able to help our clients in ways, especially those that are qualified but getting denied, is because what we have done is we've aggregated about 100 different funders. Because look, we lend directly too, but we're niche too. I don't want to let people think that, if I go to Doriscar Capital, they're different. No, we're the same, but we solve the problem. The way that we solve the problem is by aggregating about 100 lenders, and Doriscar Capital Group just being one out of the 100, I can basically, when I get a client, I look at your niche, I look at your business, and I can look within our portfolio of funders to see which one matches that particular niche. And then I connect them with that particular funder, because finance is one of the only places where shopping actually is a disadvantage. Mostly when you shop is it advantageous. When you shop in finance, it actually is a disadvantage. You get your credit pulled too many times, and people, and what happened is you went to one bank, they said no. You went to another. By the time you find the right one that should have said yes, and they saw all those other denials, and your credit went down a couple points each time, they're less likely to say yes. Right. So the reason why, so people come to us because they know that we have an aggregate of about 100 funders, which is why we can do from small loans all the way to north of 100 million. The reason we're able to do such a wide variety because we have so many different funders, and we can match what is a perfect fit for that client.
Wow. So now we know. We up there always like, oh, they don't like me. It's not that you just don't know they got a niche for that. And now that you thinking, it made me think about like sometimes how things can appear one way. Like, for example, I know a lot of Black people go into business and food industry. And then I didn't think, but a lot of food businesses fail. And so they were sitting there saying, I'm being denied because of my skin color, but it may be because that niche they have and the experiences that I don't know the numbers, but many businesses fail.
A lot of lenders don't like. I have lenders that do it food industry exclusively, for example. They do is food.
And they
I have other ones that don't
great
know.
restaurants
They don't want to touch it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've seen some great restaurants fail. And you're like, that. And look at the person who just lended that $1 million to that small business person, and their business failed and defaulted on a loan. And they may sit there saying, oh man, they understand that person who lended had a niche in business, and they was fortunate and they didn't understand the win-win, but the person still took a risk on them, and they end up losing, and you won.
Wow. You're hitting the nail right on the head.
Wow. So, because I know we don't have that much time. Listen, I just want to go over something on chapter 4. It was saying how knowing why you need may help you get how you get it. So when I was reading, it said understanding the reason you need funding may help you strategize on which type of funding that you may be seeking. And so when it was talking about starting a business, it said the number one business why companies fail is because they underestimate the amount of capital they will need. And we talked about that earlier. Is again, a lot of times, like I'm going to give an example of, let's say I wanted because you just answered why these businesses fail. So let's say I wanted to get a business, and so you, even though you addressed it, it was like, man, I only need 50,000, right? And you said, well, it'll be in your benefit to get 100,000. No, I don't need that much, but I didn't factor in all those little intangibles. Like, for example, I got this long list of what I think I may need. I said what I think, but I didn't factor in rodents. I didn't factor in plumbing. I didn't factor in all those on-hand cash things that I need. So I got the $50,000, but guess what? I got all this, but guess what? I need another 25. And again, and I go there and ask for that, and they say no, and I'm frustrated. So it's always the best interest to get more, because it makes sense.
Get the most that you could afford. If you could afford it, get the most that you could afford, so that way you don't have to go back, unless you have like a line of credit or something like that. But if it's not that, get the most that you could afford. If they say, hey, you qualify for this line amount or this line amount, get the most. Another reason why that benefits you is because usually when you don't use, it's just like your personal credit card. Let's say if you get offered a $5,000 credit card or a $10,000 credit card, you get the 10,000. Why? Because anytime you spend more than 30% of that, it starts to negatively impact your credit anyways.
And it's hard to spend
10,000. Your credit limit
is always stay under that. Yes. And I was thinking about those things, about like when you're doing setting goals. I wrote some little notes, and so when it's talking about getting the maximum, the more money you get, you can have better goals, better opportunities, and you can achieve more because now you have more money. And so let's say you had an area that you didn't factor in, but you knew in the business, you're like, yo, I didn't realize I could spend $5,000 on lotto tickets, but I can make $50,000 on lotto tickets. But I got the extra money and I can expand my business, and it only cost me that much.
That's right.
But if I only went down what I thought I knew, and I wanted to get that much money, I'm only hurting myself.
Unexpected. Prepare for the unexpected.
Yes. So before we go, I don't know. Do you have any products that people can learn from? I'm not for sure. I just, I don't know. Do you have anything that people can possibly look at and want to purchase?
Yes, this is on Amazon. It's called 7 Things to Know About Getting. All right, am I? You can see it now.
Yes, right there.
All right, 7 things to know about getting money for your business. Also, I run Doriscar Capital Group. If you ever want to become a client and grow your wealth through either business acquisition or real estate investment acquisition, you can check us out at doriscarcapital.com. I'll put it right here. So you can check us out, and we'd love to help you reach your goals.
Okay. And what was the name of that book again?
7 Things to Know About Getting Money for Your Business.
And your name is?
Dr. David Doriscar.
Oh, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother Dr. Suave. It's been a privilege to share.
I don't know, man. I just, this right here, this is something we need to have on a regular, because it's so many of us getting podcasts, so many of us but we need to, and people are doing podcasts because they are business people, but they got to learn how to get money for their businesses. And I'm telling you, listen, anytime you want to come, just let me know, because I'm learning, and I'm glad I got that book, because I've learned some things that put me in a position. So man, I appreciate you.
That's my heart. That's what I look for. I want people to do well. And that's one of the reasons why I wrote the book. I said, you know what? Even the people that I can't help immediately with funding, I want them to learn what they need to do to be able to get it. And that's why I wrote the book, so that way they can kind of position themselves.
Thank you, Brother Wally. Listen, if you guys are interested in funding, you need to check this brother out. And if you have a problem, listen, if it happens to when you happen to see the rebroadcast on YouTube, just be sure to inbox me. If you didn't have the information, I'll definitely forward the information to you. And thank you so much, Dr. David. You guys, thank you for supporting us in our broadcast. And just remember, come join us each and every week at 8:30 with Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave. Just remember, great minds reach great places. I love you. I mean it. Bye-bye.
Tune in and stream live now. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast, is now being broadcast on NPN Voice. NPN Voice can be found on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, SoundCloud, and now on Audible and Amazon Music, and anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast, now on NPN Voice. NPN Voice, got voice, you heard?
What's up, everyone? I'm Brandy the Disconnector, wife, show host, entrepreneur, investor, and ICS certified life coach, here to tell you that I'm on NPN TV, the network that is by us and for us. Lock in and let's get it.
Hello, my name is Goma Marie Conde. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and a certified trauma counselor, and I am on NPN TV.